What is an overage on a property? Weird word, overage, right? Overage, sometimes they're called overbids, sometimes they're called excess funds, but what it means is money left over after a property is sold at a foreclosure auction. And what it means more importantly is a way that you may be able to make a great business and make some great money. So let's get into the details. So an overage happens either from a tax foreclosure auction, meaning a property that's sold because someone didn't pay their real estate taxes. It can also happen from a mortgage or deed of trust foreclosure, which is where someone doesn't pay their mortgage and the mortgage company forecloses. Regardless of the source of the foreclosure, the principle is the same. When the property sells at that foreclosure auction for more than the debt that's owed, the difference between what it sells for and the debt is called the overage. And what's so interesting and great about that money is claimable by the former owner, which means they can submit a formal application and get paid those excess funds or overages, if that's the word you want to use. And this is law across all the states. States are not allowed to keep the extra money, and mortgage companies are not allowed to keep the extra money. The Supreme Court actually had a decision on that about 2 years ago where they said that states cannot just keep the extra money left over when a property is foreclosed. So that money is available to claim by the former owner, but there's a catch. And isn't there always some sort of a catch? Here's the catch. They have to apply for the funds through a formal process. If they don't apply, then they don't get the money and the state will keep the money. And that's through a process called escheatment. And I get a laugh out of escheatment because escheatment, which is spelled E-S-C-H-E-A-T, the root word of escheat, what is it? It's cheat. So these poor people, if they don't claim the money, they get cheated out of it, unfortunately, and it'll forfeit to the government. So we've made a business out of this where we get lists of monies that are being held, lists of the people it's owed to. We reach out to the people, either we send them a letter or give them a phone call and say, hey, Fred, there's some money that you're eligible to claim. Would you be interested in working with us to claim it? If we're successful, we'll get a percentage. If we're not successful, it doesn't cost you a dime. Very simple, interesting business, and a business that I love because I get to help people. And we take people that are completely just down and out and think they've lost everything, and we bring them this windfall. I'm going to give you an example of one that actually one of my students did because I teach this business as well as do the business. I have a student that found a lady who was in her 90s. She was really, really ancient one, like the swollen knuckles on that. Matter of fact, I'll have the editor put up a picture. This is a picture of her. She was living in that Walmart parking lot that you see. And she had owned a trailer, and she had violated the rules of the trailer park by letting a gentleman who didn't have anywhere to go sleep on her couch, and they kicked her out, and she was foreclosed out, and she lost her home and ended up in her 90s living in that truck that you see in the Walmart parking lot, which is just criminal. So anyway, my student, bless her heart, my student found her, and you might say, well, how did you find this person? She had a cell phone, thankfully. So called her up and said, hey, I think I can get you some help. And my student went and got her $25,000 and gave it to her. That was her money. It was the excess funds from the sale. And that lady got back into housing and no longer is living in the Walmart parking lot, which I can't even get into how I think that's such a criminally terrible thing. It's kind of self-obvious how bad it is. But think about being in a business where those could be some of your clients. Someone who's just hit so hard, sometimes not even through their fault. Now, is it her fault for violating the rules of the park? I guess. But is it right? No, definitely not right. So in this business, which I would call just this very heart-centered business, you get to help people who've lost so much. And I could go on all day about stories like that, but the video has to be short. So in any event, it's a business where you get lists of people, you call them up, see if they want your help. If they do, for a percentage, you get them money. And by the way, for that deal that I just told you about, my student didn't take a fee at all. She decided to waive her fee just because of the circumstance. And that's a really nice thing you can do occasionally. And I think that doing things like that, like a free thing, is things that you do when you have a very healthy business where you're making great money anyway, and you just really feel moved to do that. And I think that's when you do that. But anyway, this is a business that I teach. It's a business that I love. It's a business I've been doing for many years. I'm an attorney, so I know all the intricacies of it. And it does get intricate. You know, you have things like, what if it's an estate, or what if an LLC owned it because it was a rental property, or what if it's a couple and one passed away? All that stuff, you know, all those little details I get into when I teach. But what I will tell you about the business, just generally, until I give you a resource to learn more about this, which I will in a moment, it's a great business for someone who really does want to make great money, because there's a lot of money in this business and there's a lot of help to be done. And the money is just a byproduct of helping people, which is the best thing. But you can do this on the side. You can start it out that way or keep it that way. I have lots of people that are in their retirement years or just wanted to retire early, and they kind of have this as a side business that they do a couple deals a year, make some good money, get to do some traveling, you know, don't just scrape by, but thrive. I also have people that just like blow this business up. And I would say my business more falls in that category. We have a team that gets the leads. We have a team that finds the contact information for the people. I have a team that reaches out and calls them and sends them letters and gets them signed up. And I have a team that submits the claim, and I oversee it. You know, I'm a business owner, so I keep track of my key operating indicators and I manage the business. You can do either one, whichever suits you. But mostly you should only do this business if you really want to help people and you really want to make money. So if you're interested, what you should do is go see my Intro to the Overages Business video. I recorded a short video where I get into all the details, tell you about, you know, what's involved, how it works, why it works, all the things like where can you do it and all that stuff. Go check out the Intro to the Overages Business video. You'll see a link up above my shoulder as long as your browser supports it. If it doesn't, then just look down below. There'll be a link below in the description. And go check it out. It's not a long video, and I give you all the details. And I'd love to teach you this business if this is something that appeals to you. I think it's a really terrific business. It's meaningful. It's profitable. What business do you have where you do people such great good and they thought everything was lost, but you come along like a white knight in shining armor on a steed, and you're, you know, making a huge difference in their life. So this is Attorney Bob Diamond. I'll see you over in the Intro to the Overages video. So either click on that up there or that down there, and I'll see you over at the Intro to the Overages video.